All right, people. I know it's been a while since I've actually done any podcasts or video casts or blogs or written anything or given my opinion on anything. I mean, I do occasionally on Facebook, but you know, it's been a while. So amidst the 26 people being killed in a massive shooting in Texas, probably the most lenient state regarding gun laws. I mean, I'm in Indiana, it's pretty lax, but I'm assuming that Texas is probably even more lax, considering nearly everybody almost carries down there. So we could say he's a crazed gunman, we could say that he's got mental problems, we can say this and that, and a million other things. But the bottom line is that both sides after this are going to politicize it. And it's going to go two different ways. So the first way, which is the left, they're going to come out and say, oh, well, we need stricter gun laws. We need some common sense gun legislation. And the NRA sucks, and, you know, a million other left-wing talking points. So the right is going to use their form of politicizing the event by siding with the NRA and saying that, oh, these guys are mental and we need more mental health help, while not funding mental health facilities in the United States. They're going to say that gun legislation doesn't work, where, you know, I'll give my thoughts on all of this and stuff after I give you the talking points, but you get what I'm saying. There's two different sides of the token here. Left side, gun legislation. Right side, nothing needs to be done. They preach about mental health, but don't fund mental health, and so nothing gets done. My thought on the subject is, we need to have some gun legislation. Now, I'm a gun owner. I own guns. I don't mind. I like to shoot. You know, I like to do target practice. I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not a fanatic. I don't collect guns. I don't, you know, have semi-automatic or automatic weapons. I don't have them. I have a shotgun. I had a handgun until it was stolen. My wife and I had two handguns that were stolen recently. My thought on the subject is that we need some common sense gun legislation, stricter background checks. We need to probably do like what is in Japan, which is mental health checks. But I don't think that we need. I do think that there are some things that we can ban that will help. But I don't think that necessarily really banning weapons is going to 100% help. I think that we need to close loopholes like the gun show loophole. We need to have some common sense legislation, as I mentioned before, where you can have, you know, stricter background checks, a mental health check. I mean, if you look at Japan, which is what I mentioned earlier as well, if you look at Japan, the way that they do it is that if you don't pass a mental health check, you don't pass a background check, you do not pass a gun skills and safety course, you don't get a gun. It's that simple. You know, here we just willy-nilly give people guns just because they pass a background check. You know, in Indiana, if you can buy a gun, pass a background check, and that's all you need. That's it. There's nothing that there's nothing keeping mentally ill people from buying weapons. I mean, Donald Trump just passed, or actually just nixed, an Obama-era regulation on weapons that would disallow basically mentally unfit seniors from buying weapons. He got rid of it. Basically, it was an order that was passed that if a senior citizen doesn't have the mindset or the mental capacity to be able to even balance their own checkbooks or manage their financial records, or basically know how much money they have in the bank on a regular basis, and can't do basic addition and subtraction, then they probably shouldn't be allowed to buy a weapon. Because if you're at a mental state where you can't even, look at a bank ledger and see that, I have so many dollars in my bank account, maybe I shouldn't spend, $5,000 on, going to the riverboat and gambling, you probably shouldn't be able to buy a weapon. Because you're at a mental state that you can't even keep track of basic finances. So that's gone. But we don't, in Indiana, for example, we don't have the ability to do a mental health check. There's no gun safety and skills course. I mean, you could just get a gun just by passing a background check. And with the Dylan Roof example, it just blows my mind that somebody like Dylan Roof can get a gun because there is a problem with getting a background check back in time that would have disallowed him from getting it in the first place. That's another problem. So the background check isn't even technically 100% sound. There's just some common sense things in this country that we could do that could help solve some of these issues. And the right doesn't want to hear anything of it. They're getting all the money funneled to them from the NRA. And people can say, oh, well, we just believe in the Second Amendment. Bullshit. I believe in the Second Amendment rights. I believe that we should be allowed to carry weapons, but I believe that we should be allowed to carry them once we meet certain credentials. Once we have a certain skill set. Once we have once we have something in place that says, yes, this person is mentally sound. Yes, this person doesn't have any felonies or misdemeanors or whatever that would keep them from getting a weapon legally, for being in trouble legally previously. We need to have some basic guidelines universally across the board, across the nation, that keeps mentally unfit and criminals from getting weapons. And we can't seem to do it. Can't seem to do basic things. We are the country where the most gun deaths pretty much happen across the world. And we're the only ones that say, oh, we can't do anything. It just blows my mind. And to be honest with you, this should be politicized. But it's not politicized from a common sense perspective. It's politicized based on two spectrums. You get the left spectrum that says, oh, we need to, have gun regulation. Well, there needs to be more specifics into that. You need to say, well, we're going to ban high-capacity magazines or, whatever. You need to have something that gives a guideline of what you plan to do. The right, they want to send prayers. And I'm sorry, but this happened in a church, so prayers obviously aren't going to happen. These massacres and killings keep happening in churches. So if you were protected by the power of God, He would have protected you. Let's use some common sense, people. Come on now. Anyway, thought I would weigh in on that subject on my drive home. I'm actually driving home from dropping my brother off at his work while his car gets fixed. So, I thought I would weigh in on that. But I think this is the problem that I also have. Since we're on this subject, I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories lately about Antifa. Or Antifa, or however you want to say it. I mean, I've seen it. Some people pronounce it 50 different ways. It's whatever. Bottom line is, there's been some conspiracy theories lately about how Antifa is going to create massacres around the United States for against Trump supporters, white people, conservatives, blah, blah, blah. They're just going to come murder people. I've heard this conspiracy theory from multiple different people, and they seem to think that there's just going to be random killings in the streets. People are just going to roll up to your house and fucking shoot you because you voted for Trump. This was supposed to happen over the weekend. Did anybody see this happen? I didn't see it happen. Now, see, this is the problem. We want to create all these conspiracy theories about fucking people killing other people and guns and all kinds of other shit. But when a real massacre happens, oh, crazy guy, can't do anything about it. Boo, prayers. I mean, you could create all these concocted stories. What kills me is that if I still believe this, that if all of the black people in the United States, if they went out and if they went out and bought guns today, there would probably be legislation tomorrow on the desk of Donald Trump regulation. It would be. Or if all the Muslims did it, all the Muslims bought weapons today, if they bought guns, there would be legislation on the desk of Donald Trump regarding guns. Folks, our country is messed up. It's messed up bad when it comes to these things, because we are so far disconnected from the rest of the world. It's bad. I mean, that's all I can say. And this stuff's going to continue to happen. There's blood that's going to be on the hands of people in Congress that get nothing done about this. And it's going to continue, like I said, continue to happen. It's bad. It's bad, folks. Until next time.